Alright, so, yeah, I'm back with another pet video. I just wanted to show this new technique that I thought of to help with your pet training. It's going to be in two parts. One part is specifically about dropping affinity, and one part is for raising affinity. So first of all, the easy parts, dropping it, you don't actually have to starve your pet all the way to drop affinity. Instead, what you can do is you can just use these right here, Strange L-Tree Seeds and Strange QPL Jellies to actually drop your pet's affinity without all the effort of having to drop its hunger to zero, yada yada yada. So originally I was kind of scared of doing this because I didn't know the numbers, but I did it myself once. The numbers for Strange QPLs and Strange L-Tree Seeds are in the corner right over there. So as you can see, Strange QPL will raise hunger by 2 and drop affinity by 5%, whereas Strange L-Tree Seeds, they're just going to drop your affinity by 10% and not affect your hunger at all. So it's really easy to get your pet from 100 affinity back to 0 by just feeding it a bunch of these things. So yeah, that's a lot easier. But there is one thing that I want to mention. You want to try and keep your hunger below 60% for this next part. And this next part is going to be about raising your pet's affinity. So as you guys know from the previous video, there's a little trick to get an easy shy point, which is to feed your pet one of these fantastic jellies. Sorry, the notepad thing is kind of in the way, so you can't really see it. But we all know what fantastic jellies do. First feed of the day plus the 2% from the fantastic QPL jelly is going to get you 4%. So you saw it went from 8% to 12%. And when we look at this, you look closely at that, unsummon, resummon, and my little cursor went down a little bit, so I got a little shy point for that. So we all know that technique of the easy first feed of the day with a fantastic jelly to get an easy shy point. But what I thought of is a way to make sure that you do that. And the way you do that is by keeping your pet between 40% and 60% hunger. Now this is what I'm just going to call like the balance zone or whatever. So while your pet's in the balance zone, the affinity isn't going to change. So you're not going to gain affinity or lose affinity, so you don't have to worry about gaining or losing shy points. So as long as you maintain your pet in that 40 to 60 zone, you don't have to worry about anything. So you can sort of get, at the end of the day, try and get your pet's hunger to like below 45%. And then at the beginning of the next day, you can feed it a fantastic QPL, and that'll be a free shy point. And you do some PvE, your regular stuff, add dungeons, secret dungeons, heroics, whatever, to drop its hunger back to below 40%, or below 45%. It has to be above 40% though. And then you can repeat the cycle, feed it QPL, and get quote unquote free shy points. Now, obviously you're kind of limited by only being allowed, or not really only being allowed, but it's only going to be most effective when you combine the first feed of the day with fantastic QPL. So that's only going to be like 1 shy point a day, which, you know, isn't very good, but it's a lot less stressful and a lot less micro-intensive than doing it the normal way, because you only have to worry about keeping its hunger above 40%, instead of that tiny interval where you have to resummon your pet when it reaches a certain affinity level. So yeah, you can do that 18 times up to where your pet reaches 72% affinity. And then at that point you have two options. One is to do it the normal way and grind it all the way up to 100% affinity, or use the previously mentioned technique with the Strange Tree Seeds to drop affinity all the way back to 0 and repeat it. And by doing this, and by keeping your pet hunger in between 40 and 60 in the balance zone the entire time, it's going to be a lot less stressful to raise your pet. Yeah, so pros of doing it the old way: it's faster. You can grind a whole bunch of it out in one day. And yeah, and then And the cons of doing it the old way is obviously that it's a lot more micro intensive, and you have to constantly monitor your pet's affinity when it reaches that, like when it's close to having to be resummoned. So the pros of the new way is that it's not as intensive. You just have to monitor the hunger, and it's really easy to do because you just press 2 buttons, you feed a Fantastic, you resummon, you unsummon, and then you're done. And then obviously the cons of this way are that it's really slow because you only get 1 shy point a day, or 2 if you decide to do a whole lot of PvE and then feed it 2 Fantastic jellies. And also that it costs money because Fantastic jellies are like, what, 2-3 mil on the board right now. So you do need Fantastic jellies to fuel this. So it does cost a little bit money compared to it, but it's a lot less stressful to do. Anyways, that's just a little technique that I thought of that I wanted to share with you guys. And yeah, that's it. Okay, bye bye. Have fun raising your pets.